Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to take your base model or any other model other than a Z06 or a higher echelon model, has all the bells and whistles, your shifter box, and modify it so you don't have to buy a Z06 shifter box like I did. So your base model is going to come stock with these rubber isolators that go here, right? And they kind of give a little bit when this is bolted down to your torque tube, and especially if you have an aftermarket shifter has really tight, I've got a Hurst shifter that has extra springs, that make it nice and tight on the neutral, left and right movement. And I noticed when I put that in that I would see this give and flex. These these bushings here would flex a little bit. And my car's only got 16,000 miles or so it's not worn out. These are, you see the cracking here, but the inside where it actually mates up and is relying on the performance of the rubber here, it's intact, it's fine, right? And yours will look the same way, if not just a little bit worse. So this is like a best case scenario, and I saw this thing giving. I looked it up online. I don't have the shifter Rattle, but this is a fix for that as well. And one other kind of bonus piece of information, this little O-ring here will always break off, come loose, and it'll slide back. When you go to take your housing out, you'll see that that's kind of just floating here on your shaft. It doesn't hurt anything, it's just a dust boot, but it does kind of eliminate this shaft rocking back and forth on this side. And you want it there to help seal it against any dust and stuff like that. Even though mine was broken off at low mileage, this was nice and clean inside. It never had any dirt or anything inside of it. No worries there. The front was nice and tight, nice and snug, no issues. So just check it over, once it over, clean it up real good, put some fresh grease in there. I got some Honda high temp grease. You'll hear me referencing Honda stuff because I'm an OG Honda fanboy too. But what I did was I took this O-ring and cleaned it up really good, got some brake cleaner and all that stuff, so my contact points were really nice and clean and would accept new RTV. And you can see the RTV does not contact the inside of the O-ring where it touches your shaft. But once that was all cleaned up, push it in there. It's like a fuel line disconnector or whatever, nice and firm into place. And I used Honda Bond and sealed that O-ring back in place where it was supposed to be, with the the inner diameter of the rest of that remaining seal there. So just kind of a gee whiz bit of information. You can do that or not. I like to do everything I'm OCD, right? It's got to be just right. So did that, and now this shaft is very, very nice and snug. It slides back and forth very nicely. I got my neutral pin in here right now, but yeah, so let's get to it. I figured, I noticed on the forums and stuff, people were saying, oh, you got to get a Z06, hard mounted box here, shifting box, which this is nice, right? Because I get the idea behind it, right? It's hard mounted. These are the same bushings, the metal bushings that go here that allow you to adjust it back and forth, but it won't have any play side to side. So same thing here, you can adjust it back and forth, get your neutral point on your shifter shaft, going back to your transmission, but there's not supposed to be any side to side play. However, with these rubber bushings, you'll see it wiggle and flex. There is that side to side play. So with your hard mounted Z06 box, it fixes that. Very nice. This is a nice piece. Clean this up, put it back together, you're good to go. But these can run anywhere from 120 bucks to 200 bucks on eBay if you can find them. And I found this from Lacey Auto Parts. I think I'm saying that right, but Scrap Life Garage guys. they had this, and I guess it was a burned vehicle or something. Man, it smells awful. And I didn't. This was sealed up with the shifter, and it's not beyond, you know, cleaning and repairing, but it's seen better days. So I'll fix this. I'll restore it, and I'll have it on standby, or I might sell it. But it is a Z06 part for a C6. It's nice. Now, there is a difference, right? You can't just hard mount this without some modification. Or not modification to the housing itself, but with washers, you can achieve this exact same thing, right? So you'll notice this thickness here. I'm gonna get my calipers. Let's go to inches, because everybody knows inches. I'll zero that sucker out. Okay. So, thickness here, we're looking at 366, 367, something like that. And then this housing part, 243, right? That should line up with what we see here on this one. Yeah, about the same. But you'll notice there is no standoff here, right? On the Z06, there is. So how do we make sure that we can rigid mount this without paying 150 bucks and achieve the exact same goal as how this would be mounted up? Same adjustment, but hard mounted. So you do that by making some washers. So, forgive me, I don't have the bag that I got these washers from, but I got them from Lowe's. Okay, so I'm going to take these apart. I'm going to show you what I did here. So these are, I believe, just 1 inch. Yeah. So these are 1 inch washers that fit nicely into this almost 1 inch recessed area in here, just like that. Well, you can hear that little bit of play. You can orient them. There is no play there, side to side, but you got adjustment fore and aft, and that's the same exact amount of adjustment that you would have here. Okay, so, well, you got this little gap here. Doesn't really matter when you're using these washers for what I'm about to get to do this part, but like I said, I'm OCD. So I took some thick washers and ground them down. So what I did was, I have 2 of them here because I'm having one on each hole. I'm going to show you what I did. So I got a bolt just for my scrap bin, and I had a nut on here too, which I don't have with me right now. Clamped it down, put this in the chuck of my drill, spun it against my bench grinder or my belt sander from Harbor Freight, and then I ground these down until, let's get this down here, until they just fit inside of there, right? So I can still move forward and aft, but not side to side. There's just a little bit of play there, but these can wiggle around a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Importantly here, you don't want these to be thicker than this is right here. That'll prevent you from clamping this to your torque tube, you know, all the way down and tight. You'll have that little bit of a jiggle there. You don't want that. So the whole point of this is hard mounting it. So let's get to how I do this. I'm going to put the big washer, right, 1 inch by, what is that, 0.115, whatever that equals out to. Okay, turns out this becomes the same standoff as your Z06 spacing. So, I mean, within just a RCH of error there, which that's going to be just fine. Now, these were like 5/16 inner diameter. I drilled them out to 3/8 for the factory bolt to fit nice and snug in. All right, 10mm bolt. So no play there. I mean, very minimal, if any at all. But that's the whole idea. You don't want this bolt wiggling around in there. So again, let's recap. I'll show you how I do this. So I get the flat washer on the bottom to get my standoff right. All right, big old fender washer. So this is the contact point on the torque tube. Now, because these washers are a little bit shallow, they're not proud of this hole here. Right, you can see that there. I don't want that like jingling around in there. But how do I snug that in there without, you know, creating this issue where I can't clamp it all, where this is hard mounted to the torque tube? Just gonna take a little Harley Davidson oil plug O-ring, put it right there, plug that on top. Now that's very little of a proud edge there. That won't be an issue because now we get this on there. Again, we got our forward aft, but zero side to side play now. Now, boom. You got your hard mount situation without having to buy your $150 Z06 shift box. Good to go. Torque these down to what, 22 foot-pounds, like the manual says, and it's the same. It achieves the exact same thing as, let's see if I can get it here, as your Z06. Right? So, you know, you can see this sits a little more proud. This, you know, this bushing here on the Z06 model, you know, it sits in the same position as this would have sat if this were in place. It's going to be a little bit proud, but there's plenty of thread depth in your torque tube, and if anything, hey, we got a couple, like 1.5 more threads into the torque tube. That little bit more clamping power, but you got a butt ton of threads here anyway, so you're good to go on that. But I'll get back and show you the install when I get it in there, and test and tune, all that good stuff. And then I'm going to restore this sucker, scrub it out. You know, I'll probably end up having this for sale because I have no need for it now. 'Cause, you know, this is a lower mileage, the OEM factory piece that I'm gonna just modify with some washers here, so I'm not making any permanent changes to the box itself. These aren't that easy to come by, so why not hard mount it like a Z06 would be and just enjoy it, right? I'm not gonna have any more slop. It's gonna be good to go, solid. So I hope this helps you out in your garage mods. And yeah, I look forward to seeing, you know, any comments or any questions you got. I mean, shoot them down below. But, you know, I mean, other than that, man, this is the kind of stuff I like to do. You know, modify your stock stuff, and you know, it's fun, right? So we like our cars to be tip-top performance. I know I'm jingling around with this crap here, but yeah, once that clamps down, this body is going to be tight in between these two large washers, and then that little washer is just going to be snug just with that O-ring that's going to get squished down by this washer, and then everything's nice and tight, snug together, and you are good to go. Shifting positively.